Welcome back, quilters. Today we're going to focus on making those half square triangles. These are a simple yet versatile unit and one of the main staples of my quilt patterns. So let's get started. Right, so next up I'm going to show you how to make a half square triangle. So for this particular one I want a piece of green and a piece of black. And I'm just going to get my ruler. I'm going to draw a line on the lightest bit of fabric from corner to corner. Then I'm going to take my two pieces of fabric and place them right sides together. Now these are solid, so it doesn't really matter for this occasion. And then I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch away from this middle line here on this side, and I'm going to turn it around and sew another 1/4 of an inch away from the same line. So the stitching runs parallel. Then I'm going to grab my rotary cutter, cut along the original draw line and open each piece out and press. I'm then going to trim it to a 4-inch square for this particular pattern. I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch away from the diagonal line that I drew earlier. Then I'm going to turn the fabric around and do exactly the same on the other side. And you can see here the two parallel lines. The next step is to get the rotary cutter and cut this in half. So now we've sewn either side of the diagonal line, and I've done this for all of my squares to make the half square triangles. And what we're going to do now is just get your ruler, move everything else out of the way, place the edge of it on your pen or pencil mark and just cut. And you can see here we've got the start of our half square triangle. So it will need pressing and trimming, but I'm going to now cut all of these in half. Ready for pressing. So I've now got my pressing mat out. This is a wool pressing mat that I use, and I've covered it in fabric just to protect it. And you can see here that I am pressing open my half square triangles now. There's a few with this pattern. If you're a beginner, you might be cursing me, or you might be going, this is great practice. So you can see that I'm pressing over to the dark side. So you can see there, that's the seam where the seam lays flat after you've pressed it. So we're ready now to trim up our half square triangles. I've got a big pile here for this particular quilt. I'm going to show you a couple of ways on how I trim them up. So I've got two different rulers here. This is a Perfect 5, again by Creative Grids, and on the back it's got a nice grippy, can't think what it's called, but a nice bit of grip so your ruler is not going to slip. And then I've got the Stripology Squared Mini. This is smaller than the big extra large Stripology, and it's perfect for squaring up your squares and half square triangles. But first I'm going to show you using the Perfect 5. So for this particular quilt, the Tulips Bloom Quilt, we want 4-inch squares. I always make my half square triangle units a little bit bigger, because then I've got a little bit of wiggle room. So I'll talk through this in a minute. And that's our first half square triangle unit. So let's lay that down there on the cutting mat. See this line here? You'll have this on most rulers, the 45-degree line. And I'm trimming these up to 4 inches. So for the first cut, we want to make sure that that line is in line with the 2 fabrics. And I'm going to trim up here, and I always trim away from myself. And then I'm going to turn it around. And this time, we are going to line up 3 lines. So your diagonal line here, your 4-inch across the bottom there, and your 4-inch down the side here. I'm going to hold that in place in the middle, keep my hands away from the edge, and again, trim away from myself. And I've got a half square triangle unit there. So that's one way. The second way is using the Stripology Squared Mini. So I'm going to place that unit there. These rulers are so versatile, you can do absolutely loads with them. I haven't even explored half of them. So I'm going to make sure that this white line here is in line with the 2 fabrics, because we are going to square up to 4 inches. It will all become clear. So it's the same principle as the big Stripology. You put your rotary cutter in at a slight angle, straighten it up, and whiz right up the top. So we've got those there, taking away the scraps. And now, see this 4-inch line here, making sure that that line is in line with the fabric. Got the line across the bottom, the 4-inch line across the top, and I'm going to just and we have a perfect half square triangle. Join me next time where we start to piece together our rows and watch our tulips grow. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and please let me know in the comments below how you're getting on with your Tulips Bloom quilt.